When you think about the chief operating officer, you have a wide range of responsibilities, and that only got more complex after COVID. AI adds to that in terms of more responsibilities, but also more opportunities for you as well. The most obvious is automation for efficiency's sake. Being able to automate reports to the staff, automate reports to the store level associates so they have the information where they need, when they need it. The ability to do chatbots, like Walmart has this Ask Sam application that does 50 different languages for associates to ask things like, how do I change the printer paper in my natural language? Those are the most obvious things there, but there are many others as well. Supply chain is a huge opportunity for retailers to take advantage of AI, whether it's better loading of the trucks, the route optimizations. So not just at the store level, but more efficiency at the warehouse level as well. And particularly when you're doing ship from store or BOPIS or click and collect, you need to optimize those procedures to maximize profitability. Next is the customer experience itself, providing tools that are available for associates to use to improve the customer experience by taking into consideration their previous purchases and understanding better where the customer is at and what the configuration options may be for that particular consumer. Now, when you think of a home type of situation or whether or not it's electronics, that's very, very valuable. It's less likely if you're dealing with something related to food, although you could theoretically upload a food sensitivity index into a chatbot that associates could have access to assist customers as they go about shopping through their normal day. Next is better data, just having better data in your hands to make the operation go smoother. You have situations today where your data accuracy and the amount of data that you have, you don't necessarily have the tools to sort through all of that hay to find the needle in the haystack that you need. And AI can contribute to that. As well, managing the facilities themselves, whether it's physical security at the local level, whether it's loss prevention, whether it is the security of the customers when they come into the stores. AI can greatly improve that and help be more effective and keep your store safer as a result. For instance, those who were using facial recognition in their loss prevention activities saw a 74% lower increase in the increase of customer theft at their store level. So the major benefits are operational efficiency, supply chain operations, facilities management, data-driven decisions, as well as security throughout your enterprise.
The key to unlocking AI's potential is in your data. AI should be part of a comprehensive digital transformation strategy, leveraging existing resources with a roadmap to source, normalize, unify, find patterns in the data, make it smarter. Now with generative AI and natural language and the power of the prompt to query the data for greater explainability. And so AI can be seen as maximizing the value of underlying incumbent planning and execution systems, for instance. And with Gen AI, the ability to move beyond dashboards and visualizations, but to execute right in the flow of your work. And so it's good to consider how to be strategic in terms of a more seamless integration, ensure compatibility, minimize disruptions to the business, and maintain data integrity. And what's really paramount now is to have the right privacy, security, and compliance measures in place.
For the COO who might be working with the CTO, there are a number of considerations you want to take before you commit to any long-term project or even a pilot project, because it really cuts to the core of the company's operations and its data integration systems. So, if you're looking at some new ways to use AI in operations, the first thing you want to check as a COO is this going to seamlessly integrate with our existing IT system? One of the things that scares companies and executives, especially in technology and supply chain and operations, is when you bring a new idea to bear and immediately their mind goes to, I'm going to have to do a rip and replace. I'm going to have to rip out my tech stack and replace it for the AI age, right? And that's just not true. The way the technology is evolving today inside of generative AI and more traditional AI, that's powered by algorithms for predictive analytics and such. These are really easy programs to stand up and integrate with your current system. So first thing I'd say is don't worry too much about rip and replace. Just be thorough in understanding how whatever it is you're going to implement fits in with your current stack.
When you think about sustainability in some of these far-flung enterprises, you have all kinds of products that could be considered waste, and being able to better manage that and understanding local laws as well as national laws can make a huge difference in your ability to not only lower your costs, but improve your relationship with the environment. And this can range from physical waste there, but also electrical use, where AI can optimize the use of electricity at the various times of day. One of the things you have to take into consideration here is many of these AI tools consume a lot more electricity. So you're going to want to be a lot smarter in how you use all of your electricity at the store level to make a difference.
We've really seen a lot of breakthroughs in what we're able to do. So over the past, let's call it 5 to 10 years, I would say, retailers really have spent a lot of time getting their data estates in order, right? That is the underlay to any great AI or generative AI. And so now really what we're seeing as the innovation is being able to interact with that data and how we can store our data, how retailers can have end-to-end data visibility across their organizations. So, that someone in finance is looking at the same information at the same time. And this really has given, retail organizations the ability to not only react, but work ahead of time now.
We've seen that throughout history, the right tool in the right hands has always sparked transformation. Think about not so long ago, putting the world's knowledge at our fingertips with the advent of smartphones and how these tools have forever since changed our lives. AI is not just a technological advancement, but rather a strategic tool that can lead to improved customer experiences, operational efficiencies, and ultimately financial growth and scale for retailers. And it provides the foundational tools for agile, resilient, and sustainable supply chains. This is really how AI bends the curve on innovation with Gen AI, and think about turning data into knowledge and shift for more proactive, predictive supply chain away from a reactive mode of operating and much more customer-centric operation by accelerating your supply chain work. And now you have the ability to make intelligent decisions for smarter supply chains with insights to proactively detect opportunities and risks, to deliver the right product to the right place at the right time for the end consumer. You're reshaping business processes with better end-to-end visibility and collaboration.
So we're seeing a number of trends in the way AI is contributing to retail operations and supply chain management. From a predictive point of view, which is a bit more of the traditional AI, basically demand forecasting, right? It's the most important thing for a retailer to know how much of what product to buy and where to put it. How are we going to ship it? And so if you think about those steps in the supply chain where it's made, it's shipped, it's stored, it's distributed and sold, well, you need accurate demand forecasting along that entire continuum, or you're going to end up with overstock, or you're going to be stuck without a stock, right? And so I think there's just amazing strides being made in demand forecasting. Another one is personalized consumer experiences. That kind of ties back in with the scalability. And so AI can be a great help in that. Overall, not to be overly generalistic, but operational efficiency. No company, no operation is perfectly efficient. We're always looking for incremental improvement. And it's been our experience with our clients and people I've talked to in the industry and retail especially, that you can, use AI for dynamic pricing, automated restocking, smart shelving, and a host of other logistics.
One of the areas that has particular benefit is the use of predictive analytics in store performance management, whether it's in that management alone or in conjunction with loss prevention activities. Retailers are seeing a massive improvement in their operational profitability when they leverage these analytics together to make a difference to improve the efficiency and security of their stores. When it comes to analytics, a recent study we completed showed that 94% of retailers are implementing either predictive or prescriptive analytics for store management. 82% were looking at prescriptive or predictive analytics when it came to supply chain management, improving supply chain operations. Another 64% were looking at them for loss prevention activities and to improve the losses, particularly consumer theft, but also employee theft at the local level. And then finally, another 64% were looking at predictive analytics to improve the situation when it came to pricing. So can I do dynamic pricing using better analytics at my local store level? Why these analytics are so critical is that the biggest bang for the buck when it comes to operations is at the point of decision. And that is with your associates on the floor level. Retail doesn't operate from a silo. Retail operates at an individual store or website level every single day, and that's spread across many thousands of associates.
A lot of it has to do with just how well everybody, all retailers I'm seeing across all my customers, to varying degrees, but how much time everybody has spent getting their data in order. So let's take an example. If I'm a warehouse manager and there's like a little micro geographical event happening, maybe it's a music festival or just something that's driving a large increase in fulfillment that has to come out of my warehouse. So I now have all these AI-enabled tools to act ahead of time, right? We're getting to a point where demand planners can use unstructured demand signals to help aid in their forecasting, right? And then I, as the warehouse manager, can see this, can see that, my orders are coming in, that I'm going to have to fulfill a little bit more maybe that's normal. And I can use AI-enabled shift scheduling to plan for my team. And I can, then plan my workflows accordingly, at each station. And it's really just kind of examples like that. And it works across the supply chain.
AI is transforming workforce management in retail in several impactful ways. Firstly, it is automating routine tasks, which is a significant development. This automation isn't just about efficiency. It's about enabling staff to focus on higher value work that requires human insight and creativity. It is a shift that empowers employees and enriches their roles. Secondly, AI plays a crucial role in employee scheduling. It's not just about filling shifts. It's about optimizing coverage to ensure that the right people are in the right place at the right time. This level of precision scheduling enhances the overall operation of a retail business and improves customer service. Lastly, AI provides deep insights that are essential for talent management and training. With AI, we can better understand employee performance, identify skill gaps, and tailor training programs accordingly. This leads to a more competent and confident workforce, ready to meet the demands of the retail environment. In essence, AI is not just a tool for managing the workforce. It's a strategic asset that enhances the capabilities of retail staff and the efficiency of retail operations.
AI is going to have a significant impact in workforce management. I think this will be very much aligned to how people are scheduled, how people are onboarded, how they're trained, how they interact with HR, and also how they interact with leadership and the broader organization. We know that employee engagement is a particularly important metric in reducing turnover and that employee's connection back to the business. And generative AI can help leaders, whether they're store managers, whether they're regional leaders, whether they're corporate leaders, interact with a higher rate of communications, more frequent communications, also understand across all the messaging that's happening within the field, to understand what the feedback, what the conversations are within the stores so they can respond to the people that are really the most critical part of the business, those interacting with their customers. And if we're able to onboard faster, we're able to train more in real time, we're able to bring more information. Through all that reduced turnover, we have great cost reductions, but we also have a great opportunity to improve the end customer experience, which is ultimately what we're all after.
The most important thing to consider is the fact that you've got training needs across your enterprise when it comes to the use of AI. Not only for the skill sets required to develop the systems, but you also need people to support those systems at the field level as well as at the corporate level. Next is, how do you use that data? How do you do it ethically? You don't want to be creepy in the types of data that you use for your associates that they have access to. But how do you leverage AI, leverage consumer data, leverage operational data in a way that is ethical? That's a big challenge that you have to consider. Next is managing the assets across your enterprise. AI can be a huge help in this area, but is also a threat as well from a security standpoint. When AI can be used to target you, that threat vector is much, much larger as a result. Who do you give data access to, and how do you secure that data? Do you leverage a single sign-on attempt, or do you use things like biometrics and other factors that come into play? Finally, you've got to be careful that you don't have data overload, particularly with your associates and your store managers. What you need to be able to do is sift through the data to get the most relevant data that is required for their operations. And then finally, the cost value analysis of using AI. AI can be used everywhere. That doesn't mean it should be used everywhere. And the cost of these and balancing that against the cost of the labor that it may improve has to be taken into consideration. And this is particularly true when you look at larger enterprises versus smaller enterprises. The smaller enterprises, you have the benefit of having greater control in that environment. You have greater training needs, though, because you basically, each associate's a jack of all trades. You lose that specialization that many of the larger retailers have. But at the larger retailer level, it is just the mass of associates that you have. And how do you manage things with turnover and retention when it comes to the associates and access to these tools and the ability to have access to that? And how do you leverage that knowledge for the benefit, but not be concerned about that knowledge going somewhere else when that person quits? In many environments, the turnover rate is an associate every 3 months. And that can be a huge problem when you're talking about data access. So you want to be very cognizant of the opportunity to provide data, but provide only the data they need to do their job at that point in time. One of the areas that's often overlooked with AI and all of these different systems is the power requirements as well as the cooling requirements that are necessary at the local level. When you use AI, that is a lot more compute, a lot more heat that's going to be generated by the equipment in the store level. You need to have the way to cool that down, but also to provide the appropriate networking bandwidth, as well as the overall power required to operate effectively in that environment. One of the big threats that you have, particularly for larger organizations, is a loss of customer focus. Oftentimes we have these systems and we can get so focused on what's going on with the system that we miss the bigger picture of what's happening with the customer. We all know it with our phones, the amount of time that we spend looking at our phones rather than looking at people. That same thing can happen with AI. When you have a revolutionary tool like AI that can be applied in so many different areas, you want to be sure that you do not lose customer focus. And that is not only as a chain, but also as a corporate associate. You want to have a tool that they can access, but not one that they're going to be glued or dependent to. And that's a key part of this when you look at the overall operational effectiveness of the retail operation.
AI is new, it's new for everybody. But when chief operating officers are considering where to start within their organization, I'd really recommend 3 really important things to consider. What are you going to do across your organization to have responsible AI? What guardrails are you going to put in place? And what principles are you going to shape your AI development and deployment across your organization? Things that you need to consider are privacy. Is the data that's being used being provided with consent? Is it accessible? Will the product that's developed be available to everybody and be ubiquitous across the organization? Is it non-discriminatory? Are elements of society wrongly or disproportionately penalized or favored as you're deploying your AI? And accountability. Who's accountable for correcting anything if it goes wrong? And how are you planning on developing any channels for recourse? Is the system that you're going to deploy sound and can it be trusted? And importantly, is it resilient? Have you developed and incorporated security into that as you're building it to ensure for attacks, abuse, misuse, or indeed any outage? So they're the considerations and principles that we would encourage anybody to deploy when you're developing your responsible AI guardrails and strategy. The second thing I would encourage is ensure you have a good data source. Good data produces better outcomes and recommendations. Poor data, I think it's self-evident that would be a risk. But in incorporating your AI strategy, your data strategy should also sit hand in hand. And then, of course, don't forget the human aspect of introducing AI. Organizational change management is really important. Consider how you're going to bring your employees along on this journey. Your employees are your best asset. They understand your organization really well. You need them as part of the AI transformation that's going to happen in your business. But understanding it is going to impact their role and our role. Every role in the organization is going to change, and fundamentally positively. But supporting employees during a time of change is really important. So organizational change management would be the third thing I would encourage chief operating officers to consider as they're developing their AI strategy.
If we're thinking strategically, I would say they need to develop a clear understanding of what the current technology landscape is within their organization. Then they can identify gaps and opportunities where new technologies can make a significant impact. They can obviously engage with their stakeholders across the organization to gather further insights, build a consensus on technology adoption or any other key themes. And then, you can prioritize the technology investments that align with strategic business objectives. That's pretty high level. Now, when you think about, what you're actually going to try and prioritize here, I would think thematically around alignment with those business objectives and outcomes you're chasing after, cost benefit analysis, risk management, integration with existing systems, scalability, the talent and expertise, vendor selection, data strategy, innovation potential, and then finally sustainability.
There's really no one-size-fits-all approach. Every company has its own context, culture, existing capabilities, and unique operating footprints. Defining what the focus should be in terms of AI innovation is really a function of the problems that the business wants to solve or the opportunities to capture with AI, like areas to drive greater efficiencies, enhance customer experience, or generate new incremental revenue streams. And thinking about which employees you want to enable and why. We've seen the data from the latest Work Trend Index report. It reflects that about 64% of employees don't have enough time or energy to do their jobs. So AI transformation really begins by understanding the end-to-end journey to help workflows become streamlined, to improve employee experiences and drive greater productivity and effectiveness. And then thinking about where you want to apply AI to serve customers and partners better, thinking through customer satisfaction, revenue growth, driving margin dollars, opportunities to streamline AI with operations, unifying data, and connecting it to processes across the entire value chain in business is really foundational for AI success.
I would stress really looking around the organization to your business partners and finding out what is the strategy, what problems are we trying to solve for. Generative AI and all of this new innovation, it's like any bright, shiny object. Anybody can start playing with it, but does it really make the most sense, for your organization? It's really only compelling for you as a retailer if it makes sense into your, and it's solving a problem that you've been looking to solve, right? I always advise my customers to look inward first. What are we trying to do? What are the biggest issues with the company? How are you trying to move forward? And generally, there's still a lot of work to be done, I think, with frontline workers. And so by looking inward and advising to help, that group first, whether it's employees, customers, et cetera, most retailers begin with their employees, with employee enablement. Again, because if you have happy employees, enabled employees who feel like they can come to work and do their best work every day, that will then turn into better customer experiences. And then COOs feel comfortable moving on to the customer experience.
The first thing is AI, does it fit in with your business strategy, your goals, and your objectives, right? This is not the type of thing we want to plug in just for the sake of plugging in. And so I think start there. What does this type of technology And this MLM or AI program, what is it going to do for us? So get that alignment first. The second thing I would tell a CEO is start small, start with some pilot projects. You don't need to go wide with AI, make sure it works. Hey, it's just like, a Walmart testing a new product in 100 stores. They don't test in 4,000 stores, right? So start small, pilot some of the AI use cases, have a change management plan. This is important because it's often, even with the best research, to tell what impact a new technology will have on your business or your industry. And so making sure that you have a couple of key figures in place who can manage the change. If, hey, we were doing X for 20 years with 10 people, but now we can do Y with 5 people, the technology, and we're going to hire more salespeople because ... So, just having that change management plan and people in place. Probably the most important one is cross-functional collaboration. We've come a long way in the retail world where we're finally seeing the marketing people, the sales people, the technology people, and the content people working in the same room on a daily basis. Same thing has to happen with AI, right? Want to make sure that the marketing, sales, management, distribution, CTO, make sure everybody's collaborating on this, because you don't want any one function to be disrupted or one function not to be informed of something. The classic calling the chief supply chain officer and saying, we're adding 5 new SKUs to our holiday collection and you've got a week to make it work. No, that's not going to work, right? So it's the same thing with AI. Well, where do you begin? There's so much out there. It's confusing. This is not a reflection on anybody's intelligence. It's a massive amount of new information, paradigms, and functions that nobody's had to think about until about 6 to 9 months ago. Assess your people, processes, and technologies first. Then I would say move on to game planning and identifying use cases. From there, build a roadmap. Where are we going to adopt AI? At what time scale are we going to do it? Timelines, budgets, key milestones. You do want to have measurable ROI and measurable KPIs, but there should be room in your adoption for pilot programs that don't show an immediate 3-to-1 payback, right? Be willing to experiment and see how it affects your whole business and then perfect it for ROI. And then 2 last things, I would say invest in training. It kind of comes back to the people management thing, but make sure your executives and your managers and your frontline workers understand what you've put in place and how to use it and how they can put it to work for your customer. And then just, over time, build incrementally, evaluate where you are and replan, because this technology is changing so fast. I would never make a 2-year AI plan. I would break it out into 2 6-month plans and 2 6-month contingency plans, because it changes too fast.